This is How Deep the Father's Love for Us. I'm going to be singing in the key of F sharp, but I've used a capo so that I can play deep position chords. Part of it is chord voicings. I use an atypical B minor. Another thing to note, this is my own arrangement. It comes from my time at Greenville College with one of my worship teams there. And also it's mixed in with a style that The Crossing does up in Columbia, Missouri. I visited their church and I heard this song and it was just great the way that they played it. So let me break this down. Instead of playing the kind of classic walk up in the bass line, 1, 2, 3, 4, now you get a sense of falling, and this is especially well done on the piano, but if you're just a single acoustic player, or even if you're playing acoustic with a piano, this will complement very nicely. So now I'm just going to play through the whole song, give you kind of a sense of how I build it, what it feels like. The verses are in 5/4, and then the instrumental switches to 3/4. So that's kind of weird, but I really like the way that it brings the whole thing together. So here we go. How Deep the Father's Love for Us. How deep the Father's love for us, how vast beyond all measure, that He should give His only Son to make a wretch His treasure. How great the pain of searing cross, the Father turns His face away, as wounds which mar the chosen one bring many sons to glory. Behold the man upon the cross, my sin upon His shoulders. Ashamed, I hear my mocking voice called out among the scoffers. It was my sin that held Him there until it was accomplished. His dying breath has brought me life. I know that it is finished. I will not boast in anything, no gifts, no power, no wisdom, but I will boast in Jesus Christ, His death and resurrection. Why should I gain from His reward? I cannot give it in turn. I know with all my heart, His wounds have paid my ransom. Why should I gain from His reward? I cannot give it in I've paid my ransom. So now I want to talk a little bit about the dynamics of the song. You may have noticed that first out I started out just kind of picking. So this picking style that I use is kind of a broken, syncopated eighth note rhythm. The reason that I use it is it allows for motion, as is usually denoted by eighth notes, but it allows for space, and so you get the sense that you're just in this tender moment, in this very intimate space, but the eighth notes say, no, the song is moving forward. I use a pick because I know that I'm going to be using a pick later on. However, if you wanted to get even more intimate, even more quiet, then you could even finger pick kind of a similar thing, and this is how that would sound. Now you may have also noticed that I use a lot of hammer-ons and pull-offs. Part of that is because my hand doesn't allow me to keep up with what my left hand can do, especially since I'm just picking with my pinky. So I just do a lot of roll through the chords, especially from the top to the bottom, or from treble to bass. And the reason I go treble to bass is it gives again that sense of falling, and just creates just such a nice moment for me when I hear high treble work, whether it be on the upper three strings of a guitar, towards the 12th fret, or even in the upper register of the piano. It makes me think of a music box, brings me back to just a place of childhood sweetness. So that's why I use those. Just The other reason that I go bottom to top is pinky only goes one way, so if I go bottom to top, then I don't mute the other strings. So it's also just born out of practicality. I like to have the guitar ring out. So that's one thing that I use, is a lot of hammer-ons, a lot of pull-offs, and a lot of syncopated eighth note rhythm. So another thing that I'll do is I'll just strum through the changes and just add a little bit of arpeggiation, a little bit of eighth note rhythm, but very open. And that gives a sense of accenting the bass note, accenting the changes, giving the sense of moving forward, a little more body and a little more register, but it allows you to still maintain that sense of intimacy of space, that sense of space. So this is what that would be like. So there's that. Finally, just a couple of notes and things that I've learned while playing in the key of D. I love the F sharp, but I typically only play it on G chords. For some reason, the G major 7 chord in the key of D just sounds really nice when you're playing on your own acoustically, just to get that, to throw that in there. Especially when you have a D and the F, that third, even though you have a G in the bass note, it gives a sense of feeling like home, feeling like you've landed a tonic. Another thing that I really like to do is I like to just keep my ring finger planted right here on the tonic. So whether I'm playing D or A or B minor or D over F sharp or G, I've always got my ring finger planted, and oftentimes I always have my pointer finger planted here at the 2nd fret of the A string with the capo on, but you know, off. So you've always got the 1 and the 5. So already you're always making a D2 or a D9 chord, depending on your voicing. So there's definitely something open about the 2 chord or the 9 chord, especially the 9 without the 7. Where there's tension created, but it's one of the most melodic tensions I think that you could have because of the whole step difference. Another thing is I'll throw my pinky out to the 5th fret, which in this case is the 9th fret because of the capo, but the 5th fret out, and just voice all of my chords that way if I can. This one takes a little bit of work, but it creates a nice sound because you have 5, 1, 5 ringing at the top. So you've got D. And this makes a G2, which again, as we know, the 2 chord is the most Christian of chords. So those are things that I like to do. Those are some basic techniques for coming in and playing a song like How Deep the Father's Love for Us, acoustically, or even in a full band setting. This style doesn't get in the way of a lot of instruments. It really utilizes the space that you have in a song to just let the music breathe, to let the spirit float in and out of those spaces.